Wow. How did I want to do this in the first place? Wow. How did I want to do this in the first place? Like, I've been in those places before, but usually you're like, there's a hut, like we can escape. This was like, no, you're in it and you have to be within this for the next 8 to 10 days. And it kind of just made me realize like how hard it was gonna actually be. Why did I want to do this? The Selkirk Mountains, I feel like, are everybody's dream. It just takes years and years to feel even remotely comfortable in those mountains. You just gain way more awareness about how big of a country that you're actually traveling through, and then you develop this kind of mental tenacity for always wanting to go further and just being able to physically go further too. The Bugsa Rogers is a 120-kilometer route up and over tons of mountains, eventually ending in Rogers Pass, and usually takes around 8 to 10 days. I've been skiing for so long now that I can be skiing a double black diamond and I'm thinking about what to make for dinner. So now I find the level of skiing that I have to do to be engaged is really intense, and I think that this will be a different kind of intensity, like more of an endurance intensity. And I feel like this type of trip, and this route specifically, is kind of like the next step for me, where I've admired these places from afar. And I want to add my name to the list of people who've done this. Because I just want to see if I can do it. I think that's the greatest challenge of all, to go out there and see what you're capable of. I think that's the biggest thing for anybody. My name is Leah Evans, and I live in Revelstoke, BC.
Leah, oh my gosh, how do you describe Leah?
You can just tell that she's got a very unique and beautiful way of looking at the world.
She has psychic gifts.
I think what makes an ideal team or group is just dynamics in general. Everyone's gonna have like their push and their pull of what they're good at or what they're not good at. But in the end, you have to come together to make like a full woven basket, you know, to hold the trip. So me and Marie, in the last 3 years, we've gotten to do a bunch of stuff together, and I think Marie is really good at just sparking the atmosphere with a lot of joy.
So my name is Marie-France Roy, and I live currently between Whistler and Ucluelet in the summer.
And she's like always figuring out like what's the joke avenue.
Like, what are you doing? You're still just tobogganing for a living, basically. You're not gonna ask me to talk about Maddo, the Wolverine?
Yeah, Maddie is like the ultimate unsung hero. She's just such a strong person, like mentally, physically.
My name is Madeleine Martin Prenay, and I live in Revelstoke.
We met on a forced firefighting crew, and then I was like, oh sweet, there's another girl, and I just like gave her a nice smile because I was like, maybe we can be friends.
So humble, so hardworking.
She's also just making everybody better at the same time too.
I just think she's such a boss.
Yeah, if you could kind of list off your traverses and kind of. Yeah,
How far back are you wanting me to go? The Bonington Traverse, 40-ish kilometers. Didn't find one of the huts and had to snow cave. The Trophy Traverse, 4-ish day traverse. Or sea kayak accessed ski traverse of the White Mantle Range, 19 days. Ran out of food, living off of fiddleheads for a couple days. Dumped sea kayak, and we're stranded on an island with super howling winds. Yeah, made it back, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. Went to India, traversed through the Spiti Valley, over to Rotang Pass, Blackcomb to Curry, traverse of the Selkirks. 35 days, log crossings, travel only at night, covered in broken glaciers. I feel like I'm probably forgetting some, but oh yeah, I've done the Bugs to Rogers as well. I think it's over 100 and something kilometers.
Yeah, I don't think my skill strength is like breaking trail. I've done a little bit of it, but I'm definitely not by any means like, I would say a champion of that type of approach. So background is definitely more freestyle, and then moved to the backcountry, but still really focused on the freestyle aspect of things. Most of my friends who are doing the snowboarding thing like think I'm crazy and I like hiking so much, but like I come here and I'm a total newbie out here. It's intimidating, but at the same time it's like a really cool challenge.
I feel like I'm really good at skiing downhill. And looking at terrain, picking out this turn, this line, the experience has moved into like touring. I'm like, okay, I can ski tour and I can base camp. And now coming to this place where I just want to spend that much time in the mountains. The Bugs to Rogers is a total rite of passage. But it's just like this like goal of like proving it to myself. Okay, if you really want to do this, like commit and don't think about anything else and just go for it.
Because it started out so lovely and like sunny and amazing views.
We could just see these little glimpses of all the spires in Bugaboo Provincial Park. And we finally got to the spires, and it was just this moment where you just stopped and you're like, whoa.
And everyone was feeling really jazzed that we like finally were on this trip.
All right, like got my backpack, I know my systems. And then it was all good until the weather changed.
The clouds rolled in.
Complete whiteout.
Super windy.
And I'm like, hey, got this.
Cold. People were getting like frost nip on their faces.
We basically had to pause at several moments because we were trying to figure out where we were.
Starting to see big crevasses, and the trail breaking was super deep.
Freezing, and our digits weren't working. And then it got to this threshold point where I was like, oh my God, this is so intense.
And kind of noticing everyone getting quieter.
It was interesting because I've seen it in other people and just like the downward spiral, and I was like, oh, that's happening to me right now. Super hungry, really dehydrated, and I basically was like, oh my God, I'm a client. I have to pull it together here, and I have to focus on transitioning so I can get down, and this survival mode that came out at that point. And that was on the first day.
It started feeling very real. And I think I started feeling a lot of kind of responsibility and pressure, because I was like, oh shit. I'm one of the few that has experience actually moving through terrain like this in weather like this.
We worked our way down onto the Vowel Glacier, and that's where we had to set up camp for the evening.
The thought kind of kept crossing my mind of like, if this is what it's going to be like every day, I don't know how we're going to do this. My mind definitely went to a lot of different places. There's a lot of reasons that you might turn back. It's part of the process. It can be disappointing, potentially save your life, let you do another traverse. The emotional response, the logical response, having a good experience. Focus. Everyone makes it back. Make the decision that's best for the team. In the end, you kind of just have to put one foot in front of the other and take each step and each section as it comes. Definitely be distance for sure. but it wouldn't be as intense with the white and the crevasses and the wave.
Day 2 was this really interesting experience. Every time it opened up, you were like, wow, this is the magnitude of the place we're in.
Much more optimism with better weather.
Once we got down and we got back into the trees, it just felt like this hug and this like safety for me. I was like, ooh, we're not in the Alpine anymore.
I went from 0 to 100 from last night.
And the low route is basically going down Crystalline Creek and then just around. So you end up at this same point and then go up.
Good old at the end of the day. Surviving.
Ski traversing is like the ultimate form of freedom because you are carrying everything with you. Like you've got the tent, you've got your sleeping bag, and every day the only thing you have to do is move through the terrain and survive that day in, whatever way that looks like.
You're trying to heat water, stay warm. You have more gear because you're an avalanche terrain.
Transition, traverse.
Okay, there's that peak and we know we have to get there. Like, it's just gonna be hard.
And you build your own little community. Like that's the really neat thing is those traverses are as much about the terrain that you're in and then the people that you're doing it with. Like that's your team. Like you're relying on them, they're relying on you, and often the success of a traverse isn't necessarily on the conditions that you're getting, it's the conditions that are within your group.
Having Marie at the back, like, she's such a rock star. She did it in soft boots on a split board. Like,
Just like feeling bad for, like, you know, being kind of the weakest link. You want to take the lead too, you want to help pitch in, but like you just don't have the capacity. And you're just like, okay, I'm just doing my best to just keep going, just try to catch up.
I can be like maybe a little bit in front of her and like just do this like solo march. Or I could hang out with her and like try and bring her up. Halfway through the trip, I was like, I'm just gonna hang out with Marie.
You make time for you where you don't need much.
We're both pretty positive people, but we just had a moment to be real. We're like, I don't think this is for us. I'm like, I'm so glad to have you. And she's like, I'm so glad to have you. I was like, I would be downward spiraling right now.
He is one of those traverses where you're going from mountaintop to valley floor on like almost a daily basis.
And I had to have like really honest conversations with myself and be like, this is just where you're at. And like just full acceptance and being like, you're maxing out. We got there and I was just toast. I just needed some time. That's when I needed 5 minutes.
Your neck hurts?
Yeah,
Why does your neck hurt?
because my backpack's so heavy.
Why is your backpack so heavy?
Because I packed too much food. Big days, slow and steady, but it's just, I don't know, a lot when you get the new food and then, yeah, just skiing down is not easy either. It's so different. But then you got the jackrabbit still going. I think we have different blood types. This is how you get your harness off when you're tired. Marie, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fucking toast, man. Toast. I'm toast. I am so done. I mean, that's definitely the most physical thing I've ever done. What have I been doing in my life? I mean, look at this girl. Look at this girl. Like, we're freaking dead. Look at her. Still going.
We made it a lot further than we originally thought, which is awesome. Set us up really well for the next few days. And the weather held, which was also really great. As a small female in the world, there's a lot of pressure to prove yourself. Like, a lot. If I want to be accepted into some of these opportunities, it's like I have to be not only as strong and capable, I have to show that I can be better. It's not something that I think about consciously a lot, but it's just, yeah, I think it's still there, even when we don't necessarily want to admit it. Feels like that process of walking uphill, because it's a little bit slower and because it's all about the effort that you put into it and how well you're paying attention. It's just, yeah, I find it fully engaging, and that's where I feel like I experience more of that feeling of flow. You know, Malachite Spire is one that definitely comes to mind, where you're kind of in this super exposed place for a while. I'd kind of gone to the wrong call in the first place, and we had to backtrack. Super steep side hilling next to a broken glacier on blue ice, then having basically scrambled down on super shitty shale with icy patches.
We didn't know where the other route was.
Kind of like my fault for wasting other people's energy when we didn't have a lot of extra energy to waste.
And then the exit that they did find,
This is like not an awesome option, but it's kind of the way. If my decision is wrong and something happens, it felt like it was really going to be on me, because both Leah and Marie-France were trusting me with those decisions. And so if I wasn't right, that felt like breaking trust in a really big way.
these places where you're like, all right, like nothing else matters in the world except for this moment.
And responsibility is not a new thing for me to feel, especially like given the work as a guide. But I think the responsibility with friends kind of has a different weight to it for me. Being involved in an avalanche where there was a fatality and I was part of the rescue team. And again, it was just such a wake-up call of like, yeah, the mountains are a pretty harsh place sometimes, and you can think that you're doing everything right and conservatively, and it doesn't work out the way you thought. And that one, I think, shook me a lot harder. I mean, that's been 2 years, and having to learn how to trust again, not only the mountains, but myself and those around me is, yeah, it's still a work in progress. Having that trust was, yeah, definitely felt like a privilege, but one that I didn't take lightly at all.
Me skiing with Maddie down and seeing her cross the slope that was recently wind-loaded and it was glacier ice below, I was like, all right, like, breathe through this experience. It didn't last for long, but it was just that moment and those cruxes that you have to get through personally, and then you just like make sure everybody gets through as a team, and you're like, whew.
What that shifted for me was, this trip isn't about me. The shift was just like, okay, my mindset needs to be a little more in like guide or work mode, not like friend or common adventurer mode. This is the way the trip is gonna be, and that's gonna be my challenge. Like Leah and Marie had their own challenges, and that was gonna be my challenge of how to balance it, and especially having to do that with friends.
It was 1967 in the streets of California. Kids were growing up too fast while war was hard to play. 2 years too young to pay my dues.
Maui, Malibu, Hawaii, next spot. Where else? Bali. These are nice, comfortable places. This is a nice, comfortable place too. Just a little bit more sunshine. Nice. Yeah. First time
I've
she's
come to
black
notice
beat.
that if you're not talking, you're struggling super hard.
But I'm struggling right now. I don't even care anymore about anything. Stop giving me wild.
What's the weather doing?
Sucking balls.
Oh, but the night somehow seemed longer.
Yeah, and then we got to ski down, and that was like a part where I was like, oh, skiing's gonna be super easy, and then it was so challenging. Just traverse turning, you're like, oh, like catching speed, and you're like, don't get too much speed, okay, tick, tack, tack, and then.
There's a day I put on his denim. Oh, that's the day I put on his denim.
Want to try your stuff? This is $5 an hour.
You really realize fire is like one of the essence to life. You get to hang out with people for an extra 20 or 50 more minutes versus like eating and then going to sleep to try and lock in all that heat.
Hazard rating is 3 to 1 due to wind slab, likely to size 2 due to extremely southerly winds overnight.
I wonder if they had seen any activity on the wind slabs, or if that's just kind of predicting based on the winds.
Yeah, that's definitely the main concern.
We'd been wearing double long johns and like such winter layers, and just to feel that warmth and that heat and the sunshine and laughter, like
The real sun, not the sun with followed by hours of flurries. Taking advantage.
Let me put my cankles wet. That looks bad. Perfect for summer.
Nice little cute dress.
Bikini season. Gotta eat more, eat more. Gotta go.
If you're not in fight or flight, you're
You're not trying. You're not gonna make it. No time for flying, no time for eating, no time for pooping. No time for sleeping. Trying to keep a journal, no time. We are, I think, at the base of the Grand Glacier. We're trying to punch up to Grand Mountain Col onto the Deville. Sounds like it's gonna be 1,900 meters. Pretty scared of that number. Only did 200. I'm dying. That's the thing, you never know what's gonna happen. The beauty of the Buxton Rogers. You make plans and they change all the time.
Like a breeze, country roads.
We're thinking of changing plans again and going up the Beaver Overlook instead of the Grand. Like the route Cam said goes up through these rocks and then over, but it looks reasonable kind of going out left because that big face has shed mostly, and then hopefully catching that glacier ramp all the way up left to right.
That kind of excitement of just trying something different That gets me super jazzed because there's not like a precedent that's set of like, here's where you have to go and this is how you have to do it. It's more about like, I'm just gonna try and see if it works, and we're gonna use the skills that we have to put it together and get us to where we wanna go.
Just to mentally set yourself up for the next pitch, which was no stopping, like let's go until we get to the top. For me, that was just almost survival mode. This is my ultimate edge. Like I can't go any further than this.
Hurting. Happy we made it up that hill. So, getting late. I'm starting to limp, so we stopped here. But we made it. We made it this far.
And it just got calm and it was beautiful and we had the sunset and it was just like we really were maximizing the daylight like that. Oh, so fantastic. That really, yeah, for me that's like a spring trip right there.
Take me home, country road.
Yeah, then there was like the biggest day of skiing I've ever had in my entire life. The DeVille Glacier is really interesting because all the mountains kind of go like this, like doo, 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 and they lead you to the spot. That maybe you've been thinking about and being like you're a little bit anxious about.
Terrifying. This is terrifying.
Yeah, it feels like everything's just gonna fall away. Looking for the rappel station. 3 rappels to get down to the valley floor. This is the part that I haven't really been looking forward to the whole time, but that's okay. I think we just have to trust the process and yeah, just it'll be fine. But it's just getting to that point, you know. Yeah, I think when you start to push your skiing and you start to push the things that you want to ski down or you want to ski up, it comes with this whole new navigation of being afraid. You have to bring it back in and bring it down to like step by step and break down the small puzzle, because otherwise if you think about being afraid, you're not gonna go anywhere. Getting to the rappels, I was like, okay, I'm on, just have to focus on this. Okay, and I can go off the way? Got there and it was totally fine. Nice. That was really not that bad. This next one, oh my god. Next rappel, focus. And then got to the bottom and you're like, whoo! How's that ass though? Woohoo, that's done. It's so nice.
We're at the bottom of the DeVille rappels, which is awesome. The girls are pretty stoked that we're through that section. Skiers have to be climbers for a minute.
I'm longing tonight once again to roam In a beautiful valley I could always call home. There's a girl I adore and I'm longing to see. In a beautiful Yoho Valley, my little...
So the Glacier Circle cabin is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to do Bugs to Rogers. And to go in and open the doors, you can feel Canadian mountain culture in that hut.
1931.
In a beautiful Yoho Valley, oh silvery moon, I'm so...
A place where it's documented, it's written on the walls.
Stroll once again in that beautiful light. Dream of a girl, oh so happy and free.
I think it was just really cool to be surrounded by that and to actually make it there.
We're supposed to get a bunch of snow the next day, so we're trying to, keep pushing on these big days because of the weather squeezing us.
We are so close to Rogers Pass. Just up and over that little bit is a Silhouette Glacier. And then you get onto the summer hiking trails and then you're at the parking lot. It makes me feel good. I'm just I'm so hesitant though because I'm everything is a step. We have to get up this little bit here and it's been hot and sunny. And I feel once we're up on that and then we're on the Silhouette, it's smooth sailing, but it feels like one last crux.
I've never really been I'm gonna go ski touring across a glacier at 6:30 at night. I've set up all these rules for myself to keep myself safe in the mountains, and that kind of just went against some of my personal rules.
Are you going first?
Yeah, just ski really slow.
Okay.
Go for it.
What? Because the fall line that you sent me on put me right on top of the crevasses.
I think we're so past our point of normal composure. It was 2 o'clock in the morning to give you framework.
I can't even. There's gonna be a creek crossing at some point too. A creek crossing. Just take it easy. Yeah, slow down!
I was done, so done, basically, and I know Marie was totally done too, and being with her at the back,
You okay?
And then I was in a lot of pain at that point. My left leg was killing me.
There were just moments where I was well, maybe we should stop.
My body is destroyed completely. Wow. It's kind of fucked up. Holy shit.
You ain't never done anything that physical before. Neither have I. No, hell no. I was Bugs Riders will be easy. I don't know how to do this.
I so wish somebody told me it was this hard.
So naive. Hardship. I can't believe my body's just shutting down like this. It's full on. I'm gonna get sick.
Okay, you can get to these really hard places and think you can't take it anymore. And then something happens where it's maybe the weather eases off just a little bit, or you see that place in the terrain, or you dig a little deeper and you find that little bit extra and you make it through.
Woo! We actually did it!
Yeah, we did it!
Thank you.
Amazing! Oh my gosh. We did it!
Thank you so much. You're the best. Thank you so much. Marie. Oh. Marie, you're walking away from a hug. I'm so sorry. I love you, my friend. Oh my
almost wanted to cry there. I saw your eyes. I was really close. No idea. No idea what I was getting myself into.
How you doing?
Good. I'm pretty tired. Well, I can honestly say that that was one of the hardest things I've done in my life. Why was this something that I wanted to do in the first place?
The kind of overarching picture for me in this is that, like, the mountains are a place where you really come close to the essence of who you are.
Just be comfortable with being like bad and build your team so that they'll support you while you're being an amateur at something. Like, that's how you're gonna grow.
What do you learn from Maddie and Murray? What do they teach you?
Yeah, I think I just value both of them so much that yeah. I think to I think this probably speaks to a lot of it. It's just like to have these like special little moments that you have in the mountains with people. I think it's super special. Those two ladies like are definitely they're honestly just making the world a better place. Like, when you hang out with either of them, you're like, whoa, I can do this, or like I can bring this joy. Like, I think it's very rare that you meet people of that caliber. And I don't know, I have like tears of joy for a second, because it was just like, when you actually sit down and appreciate your friends, you're like, whoa, they're so awesome. I think that's exactly why you do things. It makes you so connected to the people you're with because they've experienced it for the first time, and you're together, and you will always be able to go back to that catalog and be like, wow, that was an amazing thing that we saw and we felt.
So now I've got
That's what you do it for.